Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Psalm 141. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we're getting close to being done with the Psalms. I really don't know what I'm going to do after the Psalms, but we'll see. I'm going to keep giving you a little something to faith the day with. Anyhow, Psalm 141. Again, this psalm is the same sort of background and same. It's got the same feel as Psalm 140 that we did yesterday. People are after David, obviously, and I'm looking at this time in a sense of, what do you do? What do we do? What should we do? How should we act when we feel like we are really under attack, maybe from another person in a very unfair way, and that they are after us in some way, shape, form, and fashion? What do we do? We talked yesterday about our spiritual enemy. When we feel like we are under the attack of our spiritual enemy, what can we do? What are some things that we need to do? And that's what I'm going to get from this psalm. First of all, obviously, pray. But look, I'm going to say it a little different. Give yourself to the Lord. Surrender yourself to the Lord. He says, Lord, I cry out to you. Make haste to me. Give ear to my voice when I cry to you. Let my prayers be set before you as incense, and the lifting up my hands as an evening sacrifice. So he's saying, God, I'm crying out to you, and I'm asking you to hear me. The last two phrases, though, first of all, he says, let my prayer be set before you as incense. So there was an altar before the Holy of Holies in the temple, and it was the golden altar. It was the altar of incense, and it was the place where they took incense and they took coals from the brazen altar, from the altar of sacrifice, and they put them on there, and they put the incense on there, and the smoke went up before the Holy of Holies. It went up before God, and we see this in the heavenly temple as well. In Revelation 5:8 and in 8:4, we see this altar there with this incense, and we're told that this incense going up is the prayers of the saints. It's the prayers of God's people. So bring yourself into the presence of God. Let your voice be heard. Know that your prayers are going up before the throne room of God. And then he says, lifting up my hands as an evening sacrifice. Every evening, the priest made a sacrifice on that brazen altar, on that altar of sacrifice. And David says, I'm lifting up my hands. Now, literally, my hands are empty, but my hands are the sacrifice. It reminds me of Romans 12:1, where Paul says, I beseech you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Present yourself as a sacrifice to God. Come into God's presence. You are the sacrifice, and you are presenting yourself. The next thing you can do is make a commitment to keep yourself from sin. Actually ask God to protect you from sin. He says, set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Do not incline my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men who work iniquity, and do not let me eat their delicacies. Ask God to keep you from the snares of the enemy. Ask God to keep you from the traps and from the deceptions that the deceiver brings into your life. Ask God to help keep you pure. He says, verse 8, he says, but my eyes are upon you, O God the Lord. In you I take refuge. Do not leave my soul destitute. He says, I put my eyes on you. And the scriptures say that we need to put our eyes on Jesus, who's the author and the finisher of our faith. But he says, it's interesting. He says, in you I take my soul. In you I take refuge. Last night, on Wednesday nights, we're studying Genesis, and last night we studied the great flood. And in Genesis chapter 7, verse 1, after the ark is built, after it's about to start raining, God said to Noah, he said, come inside the ark. And I thought it was interesting that God didn't say, get in the ark. It's time to go in the ark. It's time to get into the ark. He said, come inside. It's like God was in there, and God was saying, come inside, come in here, come with me, because you can take refuge with me. I'm going to be your refuge. I'm going to be your safekeeping. I'm going to be the fortress that keeps you safe from the judgment waters. And I thought about that when David says here in verse 8, in you I take refuge. Put yourself in God's hand and is his refuge. God is calling you and telling you to come inside, to receive his salvation, receive his love, receive his refuge. So surrender yourselves to God. Ask God to keep you from sin, and then take refuge in God himself. Love you guys. Psalm 141, Faith Today. God bless you. Bye.